News Radio 1040 WHO. This is Stephen Winzenburg. We're going to talk tea. And in summertime, a lot of you love iced tea. And we're going to talk with the tea expert. Diana Rosen is the author of a number of books on tea. One is called Steeped in Tea. She also has the Book of Green Tea and some other specialties. Diana, welcome to WHO Radio. Thanks for being here today.
Good morning.
You also have your own newsletter that's about tea?
Yes, it's called Tea Talk, a newsletter on the pleasures of tea, and we've been doing that since 1989.
How did you become a tea expert?
Well, it's just like anything else. If you spend some time every day with something that you're interested in or that you have a passion, you gather knowledge, and after a little while, you're almost surprised at how much you do know.
Mm-hmm. And you're even the head of a group called Tea Enthusiasts Anonymous, TEA.
Well, that's kind of a philosophy. There's no membership, there's no meeting. It's just a philosophy that says, that encourages people to just be enthusiastic about tea and to try all different kinds from all over the world.
Now, Diana, when I think of tea, I think of about 3 different kinds. We're talking about like the tea you can buy in the store, like Lipton tea bags. Maybe you've got some special raspberry tea or something. Also, I think of the tea in like a Chinese restaurant or something. So that's about it, right? That's all the types of teas there are. Well,
that's where most people start. But that is not even the tip of the iceberg, as they say, because the estimate now is that there are about 10,000 varieties of teas throughout the world. They all come, interestingly enough, from one botanical plant. It's called the Camellia sinensis plant. And that plant has a few other varieties. But I think what's so fascinating is that because of the processing and because of where tea is grown and when it is picked, that is the result of the different kinds of teas.
So tell us how it's grown and how it's picked.
Exactly. In other words...
explain it to us, because I don't know how tea is grown or picked.
Okay, it needs humid, hot weather and altitude. So that's why tea is primarily grown in China and in India, although it's grown in about 36 countries around the world. And the tea is plucked at least 2 or 3 times a year, but in some places, because of the weather, it's plucked all year long. So the teas are plucked. They're laid out on a long trough to dry.
So somebody actually hand plucks the tea leaf.
Hand plucks. Mm-hmm. And then it is dried on a very long trough. And then after that comes the big question, what kind of tea will we make? Because if it's going to be green tea, it's just barely dried and rolled into different shapes so that the leaves look different. They can be round or flat. Otherwise, they could dry it even more, a process we call oxidation, and that becomes oolong tea. And
what kind of tea?
Oolong.
Oolong.
O-O-L-O-N-G.
Okay.
Or another word is wulong, W-U-L-O-N-G, and those are both different versions of the same Chinese word. And then the third primary type of tea is what we call black tea. And the whole concept is leaf and water, water and leaf. So the processing is the amount of moisture that's taken away from the leaf. And the more moisture that's taken away from the leaf, the less green it is. And the more dry it is, and the longer the shelf life it will have. And that's really the main reason why all these processes began.
So black tea is basically very dry tea then?
Exactly.
And green tea is much...
100% dried or oxidized.
Okay, and green tea is much more moist tea then?
Exactly, and it's just barely withered, barely dried. Sometimes it's steamed or lightly pan-fired to achieve a certain flavor. But basically what we're talking about is removing moisture.
So, Diana, if there's 10,000 varieties of tea, where do they get all the varieties? Does this just kind of happen over thousands of years or something?
Well, it's just like anything else. People say, this tastes good. Let me add a little bit of this or a little bit of that. And for years, for centuries, really, the Chinese have added either fruit or flowers to flavor tea. They've added lychee, which is a wonderful fruit. They've added rose petals.
So you're telling me you're saying you have these basic 3 teas, and then you just add things to them?
Well, exactly. And there are actually more than 3 processes of tea, but I gave you just the the
The
general
basic ones, right.
Because there really are three others. One is called white tea, and that's just made from the buds of the tea bush. And by bud, I mean the bud of a leaf, not the bud of a flower. And these are the teeny tiny little buds before they open up. And they're very, very tender and very delicate. And this is a rather expensive tea because in addition to the hand plucking, they have to pluck just the little buds from the triumvirate of two leaves and a bud, which is what most tea pluckers pick.
So what makes certain teas more expensive is that they have to do more plucking.
Exactly, or more processing,
Or more processing, right. More hand work with them.
Care.
Right.
Because nowadays most tea farms have machinery to dry and harvest and instead of hand rolling, they are done by machine. So it's just like any other product or produce or food product. If there's a lot of hand work in it, it's
So when my wife gets tea bags, like Lipton tea bags, and makes sun tea, sticks them in a pot of water, sticks it out on the porch.
It's the greatest way to make
But
tea.
what kind of tea is that?
Well, somebody like Lipton has created a benchmark flavor, and they use, anywhere from 35 to 60 different kinds of tea that they buy all around the world.
So they blend them.
And they blend them.
Okay.
And they are using a black tea, although Lipton has green tea and oolong just like any other manufacturer.
Is tea high in caffeine?
Yes and no. This is always a question of confusion for a lot of people because, yes, tea has more caffeine per pound than a pound of coffee. But you can get about 200 cups from a pound of tea versus 40 or 50 cups from a pound of coffee.
So per cup, the caffeine is actually less.
Right. And then, to add to that, the different ways that teas are processed also means that you can get less caffeine. For example, a white tea or some green teas have less caffeine than an oolong or a black tea.
Okay. The guest is Diana Rosen. The book is Steeped in Tea, and the book is filled with all sorts of great information, but also some really fun tips like making tea ice cubes or boiling your eggs in tea. We're going to talk more with Diana about that as we continue, but now we're going to open up the phone lines, and we're going to give you a little tea quiz. We've got 3 copies of Diana's book to give away, and we're going to give a tea quiz. The first 3 people who answer our multiple-choice quiz questions correctly will get copies of Steeped in Tea. So if you're a real tea person, call us now. First 3 correct answers to our questions on the air will win copies of Steeped in Tea as we continue on News Radio 1040 WHO. Let's get to our tea quiz with our guest Diana Rosen. Laura, you're up first on WHO Radio. Hi, Laura.
Hi, how are you?
Great. If you get a copy of the book if you answer this correctly. Tea was first discovered in what country? Was it China, India, or Russia?
China.
Diana, how does that sound?
Ding dong, one.
You got it. Good job, Laura.
Thank you.
Diana, tell us a little bit about that. Chinese were the very first to have tea. Is that because it was grown there first?
Yes, it's a native to China, although there are some critics who feel that tea is also a native plant of India, but it's a different variety, and it was never used as a beverage. It may have been used as a wild plant to eat. So China gets the nod for being the birthplace for tea.
How long ago was this?
Probably about 5,000 years ago.
Oh, goodness.
There was a medical genius of sorts, Shen Nong, who was sometimes referred to as an emperor, but he was one of the first to write down and to categorize medicinal plants, and tea was used as a medicine first and then as a beverage.
Interesting.
So we owe it to him.
Jennifer, you're up next on WHO Radio. Hi, Jennifer.
Hi, how are you?
Iced tea. Do you ever drink iced tea?
Oh, yes, we drink lots of it in the summer.
Do you know where it first started? It was at a World's Fair.
I didn't know that.
Well, you're going to get a chance here to answer this. What year was the World's Fair? Was it 1876, 1904, 1939? In what year did iced tea get created at a World's Fair? Was it 1876, 1904, or 1939?
Okay, I'm going to hedge my bets and go with 1904.
Yay!
You got
you're
it.
kidding!
Good job. That was the St. Louis World's Fair.
I was thinking it was that one.
And Diana, it's amazing all the different things that were created for World's Fairs, and I had no clue that somebody actually had to come up with iced tea, right?
Well, actually, that particular world fair occurred during the hottest summer ever. And some poor man was trying to sell hot tea to everybody, and people were walking by in droves.
Yeah.
So he decided, well, let me put some ice in here. Maybe that'll make it better. And then people came back, and they said, yes, we'll try that.
So it was as simple as that. Jennifer, you hold on. You're going to get a copy of the book Steeped in Tea by Diana Rosen. Let's get to one more. We want to give one more book away here. Let's try Brian. Hi, Brian.
Hello.
You like tea, I assume?
Yes, I do.
Well, Brian, how many words do the Chinese have for tea? Since it started in China, how many words do the Chinese have for tea? Is it 28, 68, or 108?
I'm going to take a wild guess, 108.
You got it. Diane, I can't believe,
clever.
How in the world would a language have 108 different words for tea?
The 108 words for tea are based on the Taoist tradition, and 108 is a very significant number to them. And so they have developed 108 ways to describe tea, not necessarily just tea as a beverage, but tea as an important element in their life.
Thanks, Brian. You hold on. We're going to get you a copy of the book Steeped in Tea. Now, Diana, we haven't really talked about other aspects of your book. You talk about the history of tea in here, but also you have creative ideas and activities like making tea greeting cards or using tea to treat sunburn, right?
Right. That just shows the incredible versatility of tea.
How do you use tea to treat sunburn?
Well, you make a brew of tea, and you can make it a little bit stronger, or just as you would to drink it, and then you cool it and put it on the sunburn. And the natural elements of tea, the antioxidants and the polyphenols and what we miscalled tannins, act as a soother, and it takes away the sting and the burn of a sunburn.
You also say that tea washes away gray hair.
It does, because just as it takes away a sunburn, it can also be used to darken the skin or darken the hair. But that's just temporary. So if you want to kind of perk yourself up and add a little shine to your hair one evening, just give yourself a rinse of some tea that goes with your hair, and you've got it.
You mean, Diana, before you go out on the town,
Yes.
you just whip up a little tea,
Right.
toss it over your head,
Right.
and it does something exciting to it?
Well, after your shampoo,
Right.
you rinse out the shampoo and dry your hair out a little bit. And if you have brown hair, you could use a black tea or an oolong tea and rinse it through your hair. If you have blonde hair or fair hair, you could even use a tea that brews up very red, and it'll add highlight to your hair. So it won't be a screaming color, but it'll be
just
very
a little
pretty.
bit. You also mentioned tea ice cubes. That's pretty simple, right?
Well, that's kind of a fun thing to do, but it's also very practical. And instead of using ice cubes made of water, which can then dilute the flavor of tea, you make the ice cube out of the tea itself, and so it prevents the dilution of the flavor. And you could also use ice cubes made of fruit juice or any other flavoring that you would like.
You even add tea to some of your recipes. I was surprised to see that. Instead of water, you would use tea in some of your recipes.
Exactly. It's a wonderful addition to food. Tea makes a great marinade. You can use it for rubs or to braise food. It adds just a little bit of a kick of flavor, and your guest will say, you did something new with the stew. What is it?
Real quickly, why would I boil my eggs in tea?
Well, that's probably the oldest known recipe for cooking with tea, and that is to add a kind of an interesting flavor and also a pretty texture to the white of a hard-boiled egg.
Thanks, Diana Rosen. You're the expert publisher of Tea Talk newsletter on News Radio 1040 WHO.